society, but selling, a society of like, selling and buying, you know what I mean, and how that's almost, how culture's just got reduced to that now, you know what I mean, that's how we express our culture, by buying, these certain things,
Capitalism.
Capitalism,
That's only bad. So go on, you said something really interesting before we diverted. You said, I've been brought up in the aftermath.
Well, yeah, aftermath of that attempt to break up society. So the richer can use, what they did was they split up communities, broke up good jobs, and made a cheap workforce, you know what I mean? And all they did was so they got an abundance of labour that are desperate for work, and then picked it out, and they can just pick and do whatever they want because they're desperate for work. You know what I mean? Now, I think that's personally, sorry, okay, quite I personally, that's what they did. You know what I mean?
Maggie Thatcher.
Maggie Thatcher sold everything. We would privatised everything, sold everything to everybody else. There's nothing English anymore, isn't it?
No, you've got to use
water.
Not even water.
You've got my generation now.
We never paid for water, and we never got ill. Ours used to come through lead pipes. I never got ill.
Go on.
No, and there's I believe there's a generation of people now coming through realising a lot of what happened back then, and you know what I mean, and I want to bring my family up in a world that's different than that, you know what I mean, and stuff. So I'm really interested in kind of growing these conversations a little bit more and making it a bit more widespread, and building our communities again. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? What are they going to look like in the future? Are you just going to accept what's happened and then it's just the way it is? Are we just going to sit in front of our...
Even the consumer culture, capitalism is now become stay at home. It's like order your stuff after work, get yourself to bed, get back to work, and it does need fighting against.
What I'm getting fed up though is this European lot bullying us. It used to be called Great Britain, and all they're doing is kicking us everywhere else, and we're taking it. It's absolutely wrong.
I mean, what's the biggest question of today? Brexit, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. Not to go into, whether, the biggest thing on the miners' strike was you're either for the miners or against the miners. And that really struck home to me. I was like, what? So Brexit is, you're either for Brexit or against Brexit. You know what I mean? These are two very important topics that are splitting a country and need resolving. Because look at what happened when the miners got beat. No one supported them.
You're not going to resolve it with democracy, though. It has to be revolution in order to bring about some sort of change. You don't need a physical revolution like that. With weapons, there's many ways to have a revolution, isn't there?
Yeah, but I believe culture is a weapon as well. You know what I mean?
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and it's like, and it is a tool to battle ideology. You know what I mean? Because the biggest thing that they've got over us is that people believe, about living their life like this and just buying and selling stuff. That is the only way life can be. You know what I mean? And then you need people. Our biggest thing again about that, I'm just so obsessed with miners. I was like, the miners went round and you had to convince people. They had to talk to people. You know what I mean? You never won in the end, obviously. But the biggest thing about that was debate. Women who worked in those communities came out and they were part of it more. They got a voice. You know what I mean? Different racial communities kind of came together through their struggle against what was happening against the military government. The gay community came together with it. You know what I mean? It was a real important time, and it's just stuff like that kind of happened. And then we lost.
Well,
the
police
the battle
could do anything they wanted to them.
Yeah,
that's what it was about. They just everybody shut their eyes to them.
She gave them carte blanche,
do anything, beat them up, starve them out, whatever.
Run them down with horses.
Starving kids. Fucking doing now, aren't they?
We've got food banks.
We had a bad time.
Food banks.
Not next door on the neighbour to your answer.
I don't want to do that. I know people
It's one conversation.
No, it's just saying, David, we never had food banks when we were growing up.
But they're opening in schools now, not just in that place there now. They're actually opening in schools.
At this day and age, that's happening.
What?
The thing is as well, it gets normalised. If it's not stopped
Everyone
when it
thinks it's
starts,
normal,
it gets normalised, and then
But
Well,
why,
it's
it's
not
just a way of life.
why is it then we're on
Well,
why is it that we're on TV, right, and they show us multi-millionaires having this and having that? Why are we punished for like that? You turn the programme, all these multi-millionaires and all doing this and doing that, you can buy this and buy that. You know, we rub your nose in it all the time, don't we?
Yeah, that, like,
That's my answer.
Yeah.
Guilty of the revolution will not be televised.
I don't
It's
want
an
to
attract.
You know, paying 30 grand for a piece of paper and all the rest of it, you know, absolutely mad. You know, just for a bit of tackle on it costs 30 grand. Bit of sugar, unbelievable for a kid's present, you know, he's going to open it up.
So you're looking for radical change now, in a way.
I am definitely looking for radical change. You know what I mean? I do feel that the older I get, that I definitely want to spend the rest of my life making sure something happens about it. You know what I mean? Because, like, you know, why can't it be? If people just keep sitting back and doing nothing, and that's why conversations like this, you know what I mean, between people, and they're keeping it going, and doing projects like you're going to do are very important. You know what I mean? Are very important, because people are going to come here and see your view. You know what I mean? Not a watered down view of it. You know what I mean?
Raw
view.
organic as you want it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is this, you know, it's a fight against all this white, you know what I mean, middle class, you know, lifestyle, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's a fact, and it's, you know,
Yeah, there's people in other countries who don't stand for it, do they? They go and have a
Oh,
riot.
like the
and
French
they have a-
yellow vestas. I was living in France on Christmas. You know that?
They don't stand for it anymore.
Go on, Persian.
You've got to understand where this all stems from. The British ideology is divide and conquer. They've been doing it ever since time. They went to the Crusades, where they had no right to be there. They go to other countries, take over, and those that they cannot take over, they send fifth columnists, infiltrate, because they talk about Russia. What Britain did in Russia during the time of the Russian Revolution was unbelievable. You see, you have to understand British history to know why we are the way we are here. It's a bad history, but they don't talk about it.
Well, they don't teach that.
They don't teach it.
No.
But if you want to know more about why Britain is the way it is and the people are the way they are, you've got to delve into British history.
there's an interesting thing, a great point. The slave trade.
Slave trade.
When I was reading Black Jacobeans.
I love that. The Haitian Revolution.
Yeah, really good book. Goes in depth into the structure of how slave trade worked and stuff like that. And you know, how finance and debt is a big part of, like, you know. So basically, in the end, they got the tribes or the people to give up their own people because they've got them into a situation where they owed them so much money, but they had to pay the people. That's debt, that's credit, that's the same. It's a tactic. You know what I mean? And it comes from
India,
that.
yeah, massive. Like the atrocities in India. Great Britain is
everywhere.
So it's another tactic used by the British for a long time.
Yeah, they've been doing it for years.
A long time.
Ever since
Not just the
time.
British,
But
Europeans.
but even the system is used on individuals. It's used on individuals within the
Yeah,
system.
the British was the main one.
They divide us all up. I'm trying to think of the date and what happened.
The British and the French was at
It's
war
changed the map of it.
with
Parts of
decades.
Africa, all
But the
sorts of
British was
borders,
the one
all
who was
sorts of-
running
they
things.
did. Yeah.
If you find out about, if you study the British and the French war, because that was been the longest war, 100-year war, it was known as.
Oh, yeah.
The British took advantage of the French. This is why there never been there will always be this thing between the Germans, the British, and the French. Because for most of the wars were fought between the British and the French, and then the Germans in the First World War. and Rothschild was the reason behind the two world wars, because of the financial situation, the control of the finance. It goes back a long way. Take, for instance, I came to Britain as a British subject with a British passport in 1961. Yeah? Who would believe that after, let's say, when you come from the British Commonwealth at that time, because we were ruled by the British until 1963 when we got independence. But I came before that, so I came here as a British citizen. It's a British passport. My passport was a British passport. Margaret Thatcher decided that we weren't British anymore.
Oh, yeah.
And we had to pay to get national, to become a national, a British national, and I refused to do that. Because how can I buy something that I already have? Until this, I'm one of the winners generation. And until now, I haven't got a British passport.
Oh my God, it's going to end up in a park.
Stop it.
They're not still looking for you. Don't upload this video, Linda. Don't upload this part of the video.
What?
Don't upload
This part, they'll find
Someone get it.
Yeah, we can't upload this part of it tonight.
No one mentioned the smoke break.
So, you know, it's a big thing. You know, the
It's
British
new,
do not change. For instance, this thing about Brexit, it's opened up a whole cans of worms. Because racism come back into the British society.
Absolutely, nationalism.
All over the country.
It's frightened at starting. It's all constant.
It's led by the older generation.
Why?
Because the younger generation don't really want racism. You know, the young kids and the teenagers coming through school, they don't want racism, but the older generation. Before Brexit, they did a survey going around in all the different areas in Britain, especially down in the south, the northeast and all that, asking the people, taking samples. And they said, we don't recognize our town anymore. It's all foreigners, where's the English people? But most of these English people were foreigners. So what do they You know what I mean? Pakistanis talking about they don't want immigration. What kind of nonsense is that?
I think people, I'm fascinated to why people do think like that though and don't know their own history. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, I think it's just a society that breeds being selfish. You know what I mean?
They're indoctrinated, it's down to education.
It is, but the people are selfish. And they don't know, like, you know what I mean? I think they're taught to just care about themselves. You know what I mean? That's why communities, you know, break up, because while you want to care for each other.
Yeah, with no community as well, there's no oral history. There's no like Persian telling that story to
anybody else.
It's all
If you went into a pub, let's say like a white man's pub, and you started talking like that, you'd screaming and shouting.
Hold on, one conversation,
They don't
please.
want to hear, they don't want to know.
What
I'm
did you
saying
say?
is, they go into these areas where they're still predominantly white, but when the people who are interviewing are the people in the 60s and 70s who walking on the street, they say, we don't see a white face.
Wrong country.
You know, they take over our country. And if you look into their history, they were immigrants. They come from, it's like the two countries that are made up of mostly immigrants, the United States and Great Britain.
The United States is all immigrants.
Apart
from if you, what did they call them, First Nation?
They're all immigrants.
You've definitely got to be an immigrant. You
Yeah.
can work and
And Britain is more or less the same.
Yeah, I'm an immigrant on my mother's side and the descendant from France and
Yeah.
Ireland, so
Yeah.
even the whiteness, I'm not like what you call a stereotypical Englishman. I'm not John Bull.
There's no such thing as a typical Englishman.
John
Hey, that's what I used to
Sorry,
get
but that's
called.
not
What do you used to get called?
John JB. JB, I used to get
No
called
offence to you, I would have never called you that to get chance.
It wasn't you, Phil, it was just other black people.
Particularly you.
What they seem to forget about is that without these immigrants, Britain would never be Britain.
No.
But you nurses
Because
and everything.
when I came here, I went working in factories. And they were the laziest people you could ever meet. You go into these factories to work, and they were lazy. They sit in the toilet, smoking, and reading the paper.
Would you check in on them every half hour? Yeah.
You have a big toilet with about 10 cubicles. So down one wall is a long bench. And you go in there, and they're all in there. In the morning, you go in.
Checking the arse.
And they're checking the horses and drinking tea in the toilet.
Yeah, you should remember that.
They're drinking the tea in the toilet.
I remember that.
Well, don't you think the Brits are hypocrites?
Of course.
Because they really, when the Irish come, they've done everything.
Yeah.
They can marginalise them.
Oh, they're never in the
Yeah.
Building
They
the
got it first.
Yeah.
The roads.
Yeah, but
They were white though as well, weren't they?
Yeah.
They're still bloody.
Yeah,
No blacks, no
We can't get
Irish, no
no
dogs.
But every set of immigrants get it in the neck. The Jews get it in the neck. Because the Jews, during Moses' time, they went after the Jews.
Go after anybody.
Anybody that comes in, because up to now,
Great question.
Who's they? Like, you know what I mean?
That is an absolutely
Who's
right.
they?
Who is they?
Like, you know,
The ones who
it's
think the
they
British-
do. It's not
Yeah.
me.
Well, the likes of who
It's not
you
my
was
friend,
talking
it's
about
all
the
someone
older
That
people.
fucker looks a bit British to me.
Get him!
Get him!
Yeah, remember Enoch Powell, what do you say?
The
The
rivers
rivers
of
of
blood.
blood.
Yeah.
Rivers of love, he meant
1966.
to say, when he mixed up.
well, his situation, why he was like that, his wife went to black man.
No!
Yes. He
she
hated
there,
black
Persian?
people because his wife
You don't
left
know.
him and went to a black man.
No, you're making that up.
You're making up about Enoch Powell.
Why would I say
Google it.
Google it.
I've never heard that one, you know, myself.
Right, because it was kept, it's not
No,
something.
that would make you a bit, you're right, wouldn't it? Look at wife.
So basically she came when niggas mob.
Well, what I'm saying is there's so much happening to make people do what they do.
Yeah.
You know, you have to know why they turn, why they do certain things. He started that rivers of blood because of what happened to him.
Yeah, things are always personal.
Yeah,
Motivation is
it was
always
personal to
personal.
him.
Isn't it?
You know.
What time is it, folks?
So,
Small time, man. 25 past 7. 25
They
past
will have
7.
been drunk and stolen.
Homework.
Homework.
25 past
They
7.
left, they didn't even get homework.
No, they left before they got sent homework. They left before they got sent homework. Right, on that wonderful note about things, motivation is always personal. It's back in 20 minutes, folks. I'm going to get us our hot water and a bit of biscuits. We're having it in our normal day.